Hello biology students, welcome to Dragon Genetics Lab. On the right side of my screen here you see the worksheet you were handed in class. Clearly, since you're listening to my voice, you've followed 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, however, you notice the worksheet is missing or doesn't have a lot of instructions. For those instructions you're going to need to listen to my video to understand what to do. So, your screen needs to have this, and currently it doesn't. So how do you open this up? Well, the first thing you do is click Start. Then, once you click Start, click Dragon Genetics Lab. Once it opens up, it has to load. Give it a second, and eventually it will ask you if you want to run or cancel. Click Run. This process takes some time, so in the meantime, while you're waiting for it to load, pause my video. Okay, now you should have this on your screen. You do not, however, have this page, this Dragon Genetics Lab. But that's okay because you have a hard copy in your hand. So I'm going to talk briefly about this program for one moment. It's broken up into 4 main sections: Intro and Rules, Meiosis, Pedigree and Genes, and the Plates problem. Additionally, within each category, there are page turners. So for example, this is page 1 of Intro and Rules. If I want to move to page 2, I simply click the next button. And I go to page 2. If I want to go back, I click the back button. For our lab today, we're only going to use Intro and Rules, Pedigree and Genes, and the Plates problem. Meiosis runs a little funny with the flash that's installed on these computers, so we won't be using that today. So, for Intro and Rules, I'm going to read and follow along as I read. Today is a very exciting day on the island of Gondwar. Two dragons there are about to have a baby. Because it happens only about every 500 years, the birth of a dragon is met with great anticipation. The lucky parents are Moth-Wan and Lucine, 2 of the island's most admired inhabitants. Like all eager parents, Moth-Wan and Lucine are anxious to know what their baby will be like. Moth-Wan is especially interested in knowing whether the baby will be born with a fancy spiky or forked tail, a much admired trait. Lucine is hoping that the baby will have wings and be able to fly. Something not many dragons on Gondwar are able to do. So click to page 3. Here, if you look at your worksheet, it says, breed the top 2 parents 8 times and fill in the data chart below. These dragons are the top dragons, and these dragons are the bottom dragons. Click this button here to breed these 2, and this button here to breed these 2. In the data table here, I want you to fill in what type of dragon each baby has. So breed these dragons breed these dragons 8 times, and these dragons 8 times, and under here, put what type of tail their baby has. Just so you know, this is the fancy tail. Complete the 2 tables and answer the questions below. Pause my video until you have gotten all the way to Pedigree and Genes here. Also, I forgot to say that we will not go past this page in Introduction and Rules. So once you've finished breeding your dragons and finished answering the questions here, you've completed, and we'll move on to Pedigree and Genes. So like I said, pause my video until you've done that. Okay, let's now move on to Pedigree and Genes. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. And these pictures will take just a second to load, so if you just let them sit for just a quick second, they'll load, and there they are. Okay, and now I'm going to look at this portion of my worksheet here. What I want you to do here is follow along with me as I read this paragraph. Now that you know how to breed dragons, let's try some selective breeding. This is the pedigree view. Use the cross tool, which is this button right here. Use the cross tool to breed a new generation of dragons. Then breed 2 of the dragons from this new F1 generation together. Repeat this as far as you wish. What do you notice about the dragons as you continue to breed more generations this way? Use the chromosome tool to examine the genes of the dragons more closely. This is the chromosome tool here. Can you find any genes that are different among the members of your F8 generation? How many generations do you have to breed until all the dragons are exactly the same? Okay, so let me explain how to use this portion of the program. So these are my two original dragons. This, if I click here, this is my selector, and I can select one of the dragons. This button, if I select this male and this female, I can cross them and create babies. This button is the scissors, and it lets me, this button is the scissors, and it lets me undo that. And this button is the chromosome button, and it lets me examine the chromosomes of the individual dragons, as you can see here. So on this dragon, chromosome 1, the first of the pair has this little h, and the second chromosome 1 has this little h. So he has two little h's. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click back. Additionally, up here, I can choose how I want to view the dragons in my field. So what I'm going to do, to give you a brief example, is I'm going to cross these two dragons. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to cross them. Okay. I'm going to go back to my selector tool just to make sure I don't make a mistake. And now, if I want to, I can change what it is I'm looking at here. So rather than looking at the dragons on the organism level, I can look at their horns. So if I click horns, wow, that looks a little bit different, right? How do we know what's going on here? What does this mean? Well, what it means is the circles are females and the squares are males. And if you look here, it is a key and tells you what's going on. So the black ones, the things that are filled in black, have no horns. The things that are not filled at all have 2 horns. So the white have 2, black have none here. Okay. Additionally, I can choose wings. I can choose legs. I can choose tail. I can choose fire. And I can choose color. I'm not going to choose this last one here. It's not part of our exercise, so don't worry about it. Okay. So what I want you to do is breed these dragons at least through F8. The instructions say as many times as you wish, but I would encourage you not to get crazy with it because the time is valuable in this lab. So breed through at least F8, okay? And then once you have that completed, make a sketch of the pedigree that you have created here. The sketch does not have to be exactly like it is here. You can draw stick dragons. I'm not looking for artistic masterpieces here. I just want to see that you've completed the assignment, okay? And once you've completed that, then I want you to answer the questions below here, okay? So what do you notice about the dragons as you continue to breed this way? Can you find any genes that are different among the members of your F8 generation? How many generations do you have to breed until the dragons are exactly the same? And then what I want you to do is something a little more interesting, I think. In the following table, tell me all you can about the traits in the pedigree. So what do I mean by that? Well, here I say horns. So what I want you to do is make your entire F8 pedigree, and then I want you to change the view to horns, like this. And then I want you to look closely at what you see, and make any conclusions about what's in front of you, about the data in front of you that you can. There's not really a right or wrong answer here. I'm more going for what you think and what your thoughts on this process and on these dragons are. So all your conclusions, I want you to list them here. So for example, anything I might say about the horns, I'll list here, okay, under horns. And for the wings, if I just click wings, I'll list that there. Legs, the same thing. Legs here, okay? Alright, once you have finished putting down all of your own conclusions about these traits, I want you to go ahead and together, I should say, let's move to the plates problem. So pause this video until you're done with these, and then we'll go on to the plates problem. Okay, so now that you're done with that, let's move on to the plates problem. Just click there. And for this section of the video, I'm going to make this screen larger just to help you see. Okay, so right here, I'm going to read. It says, some traits are less obvious than others. Here is a dragon with spiky plates on her upper neck. Try changing the chromosomes and see what happens. So here, I want you to go through here and change these letters around and see what happens to your dragon. Your dragon might look a little different than mine. That's okay. So go through here and change all these traits on these chromosomes and see what happens to your dragon. And answer this question: is it possible to tell what controls the plates on the dragon's neck by just changing the alleles? Okay. So once you've got that question answered, I'm going to go ahead and take this here a little further on the plates problem. So what I want you to do for each gene, okay, on these chromosomes, I want you to find out if they're dominant, recessive, codominant, and then I want you to tell me something about the phenotype or their characteristic, okay? So for example, capital H here, we'll put an H there, and on the other one, we'll put a big H, and see, we'll make an observation about the horns. And we'll change these around to get some idea of what to fill out in this chart, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and change this one just to see. Oh, and see, there it is, the horns changed. So do that for all these traits, fill out this entire chart, and once you finish with that, I should say this, pause the video until you finish with this chart. And once you finish with the chart, unpause the video. Okay, so now that you've finished the chart here, this chart, plates problem chart, where it says, is it possible to tell what controls the plates on the dragon's neck by just changing the alleles? Answer yes or no, put that here. And then I want you to go ahead and move to page 2 of the simulation. For the simulation, I'm just going to make it larger. So your screen will not have this middle dragon here. You'll have this dragon and this dragon. And again, the breed offspring button will give you offspring down here. So what you can do is breed these offspring, and this chart of the dragons you've bred will begin to form. You'll soon have this big long list of dragons that you've bred, okay? And let's just read right here. It says, try breeding some offspring to see what crosses between these strains produce. Does the inheritance of the plates tell you anything useful? So what I want you to do is mix these two dragons together, or breed them, and note what you see happening with the plates. Is there anything special that happens? Okay, so let's go back here to our worksheet. Using these babies and seeing what happens when you breed a lot of them, and looking at the horns and the plates and the tail and the fire and what else, and the legs and the color. We need to answer these questions. Again, does the inheritance of the plates tell you anything useful? And then I want you to explain your answer. Once you finish with that, you're done with the lab, and you can raise your hand and have me come check your work, and we'll carry on with the rest of class. Good job today.